Hello again, I'm Henry Knight, the DM for Playerole, and welcome to the recap. The recap is basically a recap of the last game, and I was taking a break for a couple weeks, and I am back with the guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central. We're going to have one hell of a time, and hopefully you'll join us. But tonight we're talking about the events of last game. Well, the events of last game started with the group of individuals, the party. We have a big party of 10 people. The gunslinger and I'm making sure my streaming's good. Excuse me one moment. Everything is good so far. Good to go. Anyways, two of the party members went underneath the deck. They went to the lower decks of the airship. Now, the airship is sentient. If you remember correctly, the sentient airship, its name is Reno. And Reno has an ability to where the party members can go underwater, because the airship can fly and also go underwater. And underwater, if you stay within 100 feet of the airship, of Reno, you can breathe. That being said, everyone, they know that. So let's continue on. So they went into the city of Tellurian City, the underwater city, and all the party members decided to help out, because there was a group of individuals. They were called the Five, and they are an orc, a fighter, a mage, another fighter, a barbarian, and another fighter. Just a very extreme group of individuals, and they were held in some form of a cell, and the cell was a bubble, because remember, everything is underwater. A bubble around them, and in that bubble they can breathe. If the bubble pops, they can no longer breathe. So, as the party members approached, they realized that, hey, these individuals, we're going to help the king and queen. The king has somehow been cursed, and the cleric in the party wanted to help him out, so he's working on that. So they decided as a group, some stayed back on the airship, some went to the king and queen to help interrogate these individuals, and they did. And they found out that the orc, his family was held captive. The Order of the Light, gotta remember, Order of the Light, in the miniseries Harsh Reality, the Order of the Light is a faction of, supposedly they're good, but they have their own reasons, and they have their own politics and so forth. So they, according to everyone in the world of Dominulus, the Order of the Light works for a very powerful individual, and this individual goes out to different parts of Dominulus to, get things done. So here we are now. The Order of the Light sent this group called the Five to get a cross. The cross is a wooden cross the party members are looking for. And one of the items, there's 11 items, and they need to find it. They don't know exactly what, without getting into any spoilers. I don't want to, yes, I'm giving you a recap of what happened last game, but I don't want to go ahead. So if I hesitate, I have to stop myself, because I like telling the story, and I like telling things, and I don't want to give you more than I have to. So just to give you enough, the cross is very important of the 11 items. So the party is looking for the cross. They find out that from the orc with the interrogation, orc is the good one out of the other individuals. And the druid in the party, Theo, looks at the mage. The mage did a slight turn with his staff, and why would you keep a mage with his items? That's kind of strange, but we're going to get into that later, or maybe in tomorrow's game. Well, the mage turned the staff. He was doing some mojo, so the druid noticed in the party, and he did an ability that popped the bubble and killed one of the captive 5 members. So now there are 4. The orc let Rizil know, played by Andrew, that there is a dwarf that's of importance of some kind in the catacombs deep within Tellurian City. And the orc told them that. So they got that information. So now they got to find this dwarf. What is a dwarf? How important is the dwarf? They found out a little bit more, that it came from a flying city somewhere in Dominulus, and the dwarf is a blacksmith. That's all they know. And they know that he has a cross, or in the location of where the cross is. So now they have to make choices. And alas, the next game is called Choices. So they got to make a choice on what to do and so forth. And the king is cursed. So whatever the party member decides, and Edward is played by Eli. Eli is a cleric, so he's going to do his thing, trying to save the king, and we'll find out what happens next episode. But moving along, episode 23 was very important because Lila, the main NPC for the game itself, she died. And what happened was Merc, the bard, playing his instrument, noticed that she was waking up. The previous game before that, she was hurt. She fell and she went into a sleep of some kind. So she woke up very slowly, and as she woke up, she smiled and a tear ran down her cheek. And as the bard played his music, she closed her eyes and looked. Just before she closed her eyes, she looked up and she died. So Lila died, and it was awesome because that game, episode 23, I had a massive encounter for him, and I told him they had a massive encounter. And not to give any spoilers, but when you do that as a DM, it's great because the whole game they role played, not one inkling of combat. And to me, that's very important. It's great when everybody role plays and they do their thing. So when Lila died, everybody just, around her, they stood around her and trying to figure out to bring her to life. But they realized that Lila, her ability to channel 5 gods was too much for her. So they figured out that she died. And naturally, it was no deviant, it was no evil, it was no malevolency or any of that sort. She died naturally because her body couldn't take it anymore. And they tried to revive her. And one of the things that I told the guys in my session 0, before we started this campaign 2, is I told them magic is magic. And I know their D&D has Revivify, and they have all this really cool magic that can bring you back to life. But laws of nature, as a DM in my games, this is just for me. You can do whatever you want, but with me, in my games, laws of nature, there's only so much you can do because naturally the individual dies. So that's what happened to Lila as she died naturally. And here we are, continuing episode 3. Not only that happened, they interrogated the group of individuals that works for the Order of the Light. Remember I said that the orc was a good one out of the other 4 members. So they realized that the orc told them enough to get the information. So they left the remaining baddies in the cell. Remember, they're underwater and there's a bubble around them. That bubble is keeping them alive. That bubble pops, it breaks in any way. Excuse me, I have allergies. It will combust, and then all of a sudden, they will die. They'll take so much water, and there's nothing a constitution check will do because they will die. It's a lot of water. So those are the individuals that are captive. One is going with the party, the orc. So to continue on, there's a cross that they're looking for. There's 11 items. There's the Book of the Dead, the cross. I'm not going to go all the items. There is a mithril armor they have to look for. There is a sword. There's different items they have to look for, and each item serves a purpose. And man, these items are so important. But we'll find out how important it will be to them. Like I said, the next game, the title is Choices, because I'm trying to not to say much, because sometimes I slip. I get into it and I start telling you what's going to happen. I'm trying to recap last adventure, but I'm giving you a little bit too much. But either way, they found this information. They got the information they need. They have to move on. And the choice they have to make is very important. Do they stay back or continue on? And staying back is a choice that they got to make. If they don't go, if they don't proceed, I'm not going to hold that against them. No. But if they proceed, they're going to advance into one hell of an adventure. And it all started with these young kids, orphans. They didn't know why they were even here. They just went on an adventure to try to figure things out. Why their other brothers and sisters were gone. And it started with 2 caretakers of the orphanage, Leandra and Cullo. And they were the ones that turned out to be a main antagonist. But here, as we flash forward, these party members have grown. They've grown to more than friends, almost like a family. And there are new members. There are Theo and Edward and Merc. 3 new party members. And they also are coming close together. They are also bringing things forward. Theo, his brother, Damateus, he's a dragonborn. And Damateus was a paladin. In the game, previously, Damateus died. He was killed by a dark elf. And Theo, heard murmurs in taverns in his location where he lives in Dominulus. So he heard that the Damateus died. So he went on a long adventure to find what happened. Okay, I had a disconnection happen here, but I'm back. I'm hopefully I'm back. It says I'm streaming. So, let me see here. Sorry about that. It happens sometimes. So, so basically, I was saying that Dameteus, the paladin, went to go look for his... Teo went to go look for his brother. He's a dragonborn druid. To go look for his brother. More than brothers. So he went to go look for him, and he found the other party members, and he joined. Edward, the cleric, the same way. He joined. And the hard thing for Edward is he works for the Order of the Light, where he takes orders from them. Coming from a city in Dominulus called Amazura, one of the tallest and biggest cities in Dominulus. It has over 100,000 people, that's how big it is, just to give you an idea. So, he's a cleric, he's on a mission, he has his own mission, but he's changed that mission and decided that there are more important things that are bigger than his mission with the Order of the Light. Because he realized that the Order of the Light are not very good. Let me check my streaming really quick, and hopefully everything's okay. I'm not getting any errors. Everything is streaming good. We've been streaming for 18 minutes, so you know. Either way, that is a majority of what happened in the last episode, episode 23. I'm giving you also a refresher on episodes before, just to bring you back, because this next episode, episode 24, is chapter 2. We're going to move on, and chapter 2 is very long, and hopefully these characters can really move forward and advance. What's going on here in my streaming? Oh Lord. YouTube is not currently receiving data for the stream. If you believe this is incorrect, then sure, yeah. Well, I haven't got anything else. So, we're gonna move on. So, these characters have a mission to find these 11 important items. Before that, their mission was, or their adventure was, to find out what happened to the orphans. Well, they found out some things. The orphans died in a fire, but then some were captured by pirates and taken. That's all they know so far. They have found out more of the puzzle, but that was enough to close their story or their ambitions, because they wanted to find out what happened to the other orphans, and they found out enough. Are they still going to find out more about that? That's up to them. So, between that, they found out that Leandra and Godard are both working together. Leandra is now an antagonist, and Godard will always be an antagonist. But remember, in their past, the Order of the Light killed Godard or punished him. They brought him to the unknown region. And in that unknown region, there were a lot of creatures and creepy things that really ripped him apart. He barely made it with his life, and he changed. Leandra, her ambitions, her thought process, her tenacity, everything that she wanted to do in life, everything changed. She was consumed by these deck of cards. She was consumed by this book that she had. A lot of magic, a lot of dark magic, a lot of evil. So she was consumed by this. And the town of the light where the orphans come from, that town was also consumed by darkness. And the orphans, the ones that are left alive, are adventuring to figure out what happened. And the clues are just coming in slowly. But do they have enough to continue to close out their story? Do they have enough? That's up to them. I'm not going to force that. It's up to them if they have enough closure. So, what do? What's their next story? Well, they realize that these items are important. They don't know how or why, how it pieces everything together. They know that it's just as important as fighting for your life, just as important as staying alive in an all-out war, just as important as reaching your next level and making sure that you have the proper slots in magic, you have the different things that you need to proceed. They will have to make a choice. And in the next game, those choices are going to encompass everything. I'm being really cryptic. I'm trying to give you a good recap because last episode they did a lot, and they did a lot of role playing, no combat. They found out a lot. They know what to do. They know how to proceed, but they're hesitating. You know, you have a king who is cursed. You have an orc whose family was captured by the Order of the Light and was told, hey, you are going to work for me. And if you don't do what we say, we kill your family. Well, you figure orcs, right? Not all orcs are bent up and malevolent. At least in my world, they're not. So, this orc told Brazil enough information and Alexander to move forward. We told him about a dwarf, told him about a cross, somewhere in the deep, dark catacombs of the underwater city, Tellurian City. Will they go there? Will they reach that next level? Will they find those items? Those are the choices they have to make. And when you run a game, you can't force them. You can't grab their ear and say, come on, go with me. What else we got? I told you about the seaweed, or did I? Well, either way, the bubble that the sentient ship Reno has expands only to 100 feet. And you go beyond 100 feet, you're going to die. So you're going to need seaweed in order to breathe. I did mention that, sorry. So the seaweed is what keeps you alive. One of the players, Edward, Eli plays Edward, the cleric. So he realized, hey, I'm going to store enough seaweed in my pouch, which is good. Good thinking on that part. So that gives them the ability to breathe underwater. So far, a couple of players know about that. I don't know if everybody does. I do, but I know that not everybody does. But do they know that? If they watch this video, they'll probably will. But that's funny. If they watch the video, they probably will. But either way, these players have multiple things to do in the upcoming game. And where we're at here is Level's death. That really, really turned them around. Because not only can she channel gods, she She was their brothers and they were her sister. She was like family to them. She was part of that group since way in the beginning. And also, before I end, every individual, every player can now channel a god. The gods that they channel chose the players. What story arc do I have on that? I'm not going to divulge, but I will tell you that each one has a god. And I'll go over them. The ones that played last game. Edward, the cleric. He has Bahamut. Colleen. She plays Eliza the rogue. She has Tiamat. Jaros, the arcane archer. He has Thor. Razil has the he has Loki, played by Andrew. Who else? Who else? Okay, so you have Timmy. Timmy plays a tiefling, and he could channel Tyr. So you have just these gods that are being channeled by them. They don't know how, but they're going to find out soon. Joe plays Merc, the bard. He could channel Kitsune. What I do is I take the pantheon of gods, a mixture of different lores, and I throw it out there to change things up. I love to do that. Hopefully you'll enjoy that too. I do love that type of story arc. But hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central is episode 24 called Choices. Will the players make the right choices? There is no wrong or right answer for that. It's how you get there and the choices they make that will make them heroes. That's what it's all about, being a hero. Either way, I will see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central, but within 10 or so minutes, DM talk, we got a lot to talk about. I'll see you in about 10, 15 minutes. See ya.